I'd like to call the Madison School Board to order. Let's please stand for the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please, Brad.
Mrs. Melissa Walker.
Here.
Mrs. Cotterman.
Here.
Mr. Mosier.
Here.
Miss Amy Walker.
Here.
Mr. Wigton.
Here. I need a motion to adopt our agenda.
I'll move. I'll second.
Discussion.
Yeah, there are two amendments that need to be done to the agenda. We need to add to D, approval of previous board meeting minutes, the August 30th special meeting minutes that were left off, and then an executive session at the end for purposes of investigation of charges and/or complaints.
Okay. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Miss Amy Walker.
4.
Mrs. Melissa Walker.
4.
Mr. Mosier.
Against.
Mrs. Cotterman.
4.
Mr. Wigton.
4. We need to approve our previous board meeting minutes for both the regular meeting August 16th and August 30th special meeting.
I'll motion.
Second.
I'll second.
Who was the first?
Mary.
Okay, sorry.
Oh, well,
Melissa
Melissa
moved.
first and then Mary second. Discussion. Roll call.
Mrs. Melissa Walker.
4.
Mrs. Cotterman.
4.
Mr. Mosier.
4.
Miss Amy Walker.
4.
Mr. Wigton.
4. Next, we have recognition of visitors.
If you wouldn't mind, Mr. Wigton, I would like to introduce to the board Mr. Ethan Wilson. He took over for Wendy Carter for payroll. He's been there, 3 weeks now?
About a month.
About a month. And he's been a wonderful addition to the team. Very pleased to have him. He is a graduate from Madison, valedictorian. And it's just, he's been a breath of fresh air. We're working through some things, but because it's been a learning curve, but I'm very, very pleased and happy to have him aboard.
Congratulations and welcome.
Yeah.
Keep those checks flowing, they say. Also, we have a special visitor, Andrew Parrish.
We gotta,
You can set that.
yeah, we gotta
level.
Sean-proof this mic here. Board of Education members, Superintendent, Treasurer, I'd like to introduce Andrew Parrish. And Andrew obtained the rank of Eagle Scout. Now, I had asked him when I was going to present him, I said, hey, can you kind of give me a list of some things that you did so that I could explain it to the board? And today he gave me a laminated kind of speech. So I just want to tell you, he's earned that Eagle Scout. He's a 16-year-old sophomore at Madison High School. He's been scouting for over 10 years. He recently earned his Eagle Scout, and this is his journey. First, it started when the Cub Scouts came to his elementary school. He asked his parents to take him to the meeting, and he loved it. And after that, he went all the way through Cub Scouts and went on to Boy Scouts. After a year of Boy Scouts, COVID hit, and this is where many people slowed down in Scouts, but Andrew gave it a chance this gave him a chance to get more merit badges. This helped him obtain the rank and earn the rank of Eagle. All during COVID, he worked extremely hard, and this helped him rank up faster than others in his troop. He has attended 7 Rangers Scout Camp 4 times and has his 4th year Pipestone. Pipestone is one of the most prestigious camp honors in Scouts. These 4 years at summer camp helped him earn several merit badges and motivated him to work for the rank of Eagle. To become an Eagle Scout, one needs at least 22 merit badges. Finally, last year, he got to the point where he just needed 1 more merit badge and his Eagle project to become an Eagle Scout. During this time, he needed help getting the Citizenship in Community merit badge and chose to go to a school board meeting to complete it. He came to one of these board meetings and he asked some of our board members questions, and that helped him understand more about school community. He did his Eagle project at the Rural Life Center. He built 2 structures for his life rings so that the Rural Life Center would have a better safety around the water. One of the hardest parts of the project was going to local businesses and asking for donations for his project. One thing people do not know or realize is becoming an Eagle Scout is not just done by the Scout, but it is done by the people of the community helping the Scout out in different ways. Board of Education members, Mr. Andrew Parrish. Just want to say, as obviously a representative of Madison High School, he is a fine representative of Ram Nation, and we are extremely proud of him and want to congratulate him on this awesome honor.
Congratulations. At this time, our legislative report.
No report.
Okay. Anything with Athletic Board of Control?
We haven't met.
Student representative comments.
Hi, my name is Courtney Cyrus, and I'm the Vice President of Student Council. I will be the student representative for tonight and will be sharing what is happening in the high school. Fall sports are continuing with girls tennis senior night tonight and their OCC tournament next Friday. Volleyball has a 3-9 record, and football has continually been improving and working towards a win. Soccer, golf, and cross country have also started off with many games, matches, and meets under their belt. Homecoming is approaching fast, but Student Council has been hard at work making decorations and preparing for the dance. Planning is also going on for the homecoming-related events like the football game and the Royalty Court Assembly. 2023 Homecoming Court for girls consists of Emily Green, Ella Walker, Emily Nolan, Callie Cyrus, and Layla Osmoon. The queen will be chosen from these girls and crowned at the homecoming football game next Friday. And for the boys, the court consists of Grayson Sassis, Braden Rogers, Aiden Mooneyham, Landon Young, and Bo Keppel. The king will be chosen from these boys and crowned at the school homecoming assembly. Speaking of homecoming news, there is a closet of formal attire run by Mr. Armstrong and his cross-categorical students for dances and interviews, which is called Covey's Closet, named after one of our former students, Nicovi Fagan, who donated dress clothes for students to use. It has led to several students and teachers bringing in dress clothes to be used for job interviews, dances, and more, continuing to build a community at our school. Also, today was the Red Cross blood drive in Madison. There was so much participation that all the spots have been filled up. As can be seen, the high school, our students and staff who do a great job of taking care of the community and each other. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our facilities report.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Just a few updates real quick. The tennis court project is completed, and I sent you folks some slides of it, but it was fixed utilizing the ArmorFlex system from Vasco, and it looks wonderful, and we're looking forward to getting some good use out of that for many years to come. Both roofing projects at Mifflin and the high school have been closed out now. The punch lists have been completed, and everything's done with those. The football stadium bleacher project is about 90% done. Everything that would impact safety is done, and there's just some cosmetic stuff that they're finishing up right now, and that'll be completed very soon. And then lastly, we've begun replacement of the boilers for the heating system at Eastview Elementary School. Those boilers were put in, that we're removing, were put in 1989. So we got a lot of good use out of those, and we had one that was completely failed, so we ran all last year just on one boiler, and fingers crossed. So we'll get all those going in with some high-efficiency boilers, and we hope to have that project completed in the next week. That's all.
Okay, thank you. Board Policy Committee?
We met on the 30th, and well, you could see in the superintendent's part that there's some policy changes coming up. Most of them are all due to laws change. A lot of them are House Bill 33, which is parental rights law. And we have, if anyone needs to see anything that changed, please let me know. I'll be glad to show you.
Okay. Student Achievement.
At Mifflin, the school has been named an iReady Super Stretch School from data obtained from the end-of-year diagnostic assessments for the 2022-2023 school year. This recognition is given for the number of students reaching and exceeding stretch goals set in reading and math by iReady. And the recent report cards that were released by ODE, Mifflin earned 4 stars overall, inclusive of a score of 5 stars in the gap closing category that measures student success based off of student subgroups and their achievement and progress on state testing. At the middle school, they're off to a great start to the school year. They received 5 stars in the gap closing on the state report card, which is the highest star rating that can be achieved. They had their first successful Donuts with Dudes event, and will have a Donuts with Divas in October. They had almost 400 people in attendance at the first event. They completed their first round of iReady diagnostic testing and are looking forward to growth that will happen throughout the year. At the high school, congratulations to Nevaeh Rain and Larissa Cerro. Both earned OSHA 10 certification for healthcare workers. National Honor Society was hosting their biannual blood drive today. All appointments were filled, and it was awesome to see so many Madison High School students dedicated to helping save lives. Congratulations to Kendall Kirshner, Hannah Ball, Colin Carroll, and Shelby Rush, who recently received their Rise Up Business of Retail certifications. And also congrats to Draven Anderson, Ava Armstrong, and Drake Ramey, who received a $100 Amazon gift card for winning the spring end-of-course exam raffle. And lastly, at the Career Center, after many, many hours of self-evaluation, reporting, and completing an on-site visit, the Madison Adult Career Center was granted their 5-year accreditation renewal.
Okay, thank you for that. Superintendent's update.
Tomorrow, we will host our first senior citizen luncheon of the year, and I think I've shared with you last year, those became so popular that we have scheduled 2 sessions of them, and we're continuing that for this year to see how they go, and we'll continue to maintain the 2 sessions as long as we have the attendance to support that. Regarding strategic planning, just want to update you on where we're at with that. Our action plan teams have met, and then the co-chairs of those action plan teams either have met with me or are scheduled to meet with me. We go through kind of the updated action plans for the year, and then they're preparing their action plans to present to you each month. Starting in October, a different action team will present to you to share the updates and the plans for this school year. You heard in the student achievement report regarding some of the building report card data. I just wanted to share a brief summary with you regarding the district report card. We received an overall rating for the first time this year, and we received a rating of 3.5 stars on a 5-star continuum. So we're proud of that. As far as achievement goes, which measures student performance on the tests, we received 3 stars, which meets the state standard, which is the same. We maintained 3 stars as we had last year. In the progress component, which measures how students grew in their academics and on the test as compared to how they were expected to grow, we also received 3 stars as we did last year. In gap closing, we had 4 stars. Again, as we did last year, gap closing measures student performance in student subgroups, meaning like economically disadvantaged students, students with disabilities, black, multiracial. Basically, the goal in gap closing is if we have a student group that's not performing as well as all students, closing that gap and bringing those students in that subgroup up to where all students are. So we received a 4 in that area. Early literacy, we received 2 stars.
which that means needs support to meet state standards. We had 2 stars last year, so we need to continue to work hard in that area. And I want to convey to the board that our teachers and our administrators are working hard in that area to continue to improve our student literacy scores. And then last, I just want to highlight probably the highlight of our report card. We received 5 stars in the graduation component, and in my mind, the graduation component reflects what we are doing from pre-K all the way to 12 to put students in a position to graduate from high school and go on and be successful moving forward. Last year we received 4 stars, up to 5 stars this year. We improved by a percentage point in both 4-year graduation rate and 5-year graduation rate. And so our graduation rate is always a year behind, so these numbers don't reflect the class of 23. The 4-year rate reflects the class of 22, and that was 96.8% graduation rate. And then the 5-year represents the class of 21, and it is at 96.5%. So our graduation rate has continued to be on an upward trend since 2016, and I think that's something that we can all at Madison be very proud of, because I think that reflects the teamwork of what we all do here, students, families, the board, administration, staff, classified staff, all working together for our kids. That concludes my report.
Okay, thank you. Now we have a presentation from Mr. Conway and Mr. Rickert. Oh, join us as well. Everybody gets to.
The whole team's coming up. So again, we appreciate the opportunity to present in front of the board. Being as though we're so early in the 2023-24 school year, a lot of what we talk about is a little bit of an overview of what happened last year and then some things we're looking forward to here in 23-24. So first thing you always do is you look back on the class of 23, and I've shared this slideshow with all of you. If you should have received that in your email as well. Obviously an extremely high achieving class. One thing we're extremely proud of, and I know Mr. Peterson talked about the graduation rate being a year behind. I think we're going to score again very well in this next year, because all students who were enrolled at the end of the school year, every single one of them made it to graduation. We were able to find a pathway to graduation. And if I don't want to go through all the different ways kids can graduate now, but really, you know, once you get to pass the state test, there is a lot of different pathways to graduation. And between the administrative team and our counselors, we went through and looked at every single kid to try to figure out what is their journey towards graduation. And for all enrolled students at that time, now I'm sure over the course of the year that we may have had a kid who, you know, because of life changes may not have finished the year, but all of the students who were enrolled at the end of the year did make it and did get across that stage. So that was important to us. But as you can see, just under 30% of the students that graduate had a 3.5 GPA. And then 50% had a 3.0 GPA and 6 valedictorians. So an extremely high achieving class. Before I continue, I should have said this at the beginning. There's a lot on here, and I'm not going to read everything. I'm going to be conscious of your time. And I know Mr. Rickert and Mr. D has some things to present as well. So I'm going to try to go really quick. I don't want Mr. Stump to get mad at me. I'm going to go super quick today. And obviously you have been emailed this information so you can review it, and if you ever have any questions, feel free to ask. Talk about the state test scores, and it's kind of a mixed bag. We did go up in some areas. We went up in a few areas, but we obviously went down in some. So this is how we look as compared to previous years. And again, I'm going to go pretty quick. But this next slide here, you can kind of see the ones in yellow on the right are the ones where we are still above the state average. And then the ones in red are the ones that we are trying to get there. We did see some improvement in biology. We went from a 54% to a 57%, which is growth, but it's still not where we want to be. Again, geometry is the one that we really fell off, and we're really dedicating ourselves this year to figure out why that was and how we can fix it. But there is the report card for our building. The overall report card was 4 stars, and again, the one that I want to highlight in the bottom left that Mr. Peterson kind of stole my thunder on was the graduation where we were 5 stars. But we do exceed the state standards. I think it's a very solid report card, but I want to stress we're not satisfied with it. We're going to continue to grow. We're going to continue to get better, and we'd like to see that improve next year. But I do think it's a very solid report card for our building. Okay, Mary Madison Christmas is always something we hang our hats on because this really does impact our community in an awesome way. There were 11 Madison families that were affected and 24 children. You can see all the different people that helped out and chose families. As you kind of go through, these are now the groups that are just throwing in different things like collecting hats, crocheting baskets, providing gift cards, baking cookies. All of these different groups pitched in to provide Christmas to our community for those in need. And I have to say, I've been involved in Madison for 14 years. This is probably the one thing throughout the year where I'm like, this is something that we do that nobody else does, and it is so special. And it is the most giving community I could ever hope to be a part of, and I don't know that anything exemplifies that like Mary Madison Christmas. So just want to say to those people who organized it, I know it was for a long time Miss North and Miss Burden, and they have given it away to the rookies now. It's going to be alumni team of Miss Ohl, Miss Utt, and Mrs. Thomas. So they're very excited to take that over and do an awesome job with it. I'll let Mr. D talk about our MSI team quickly.
Sure. Our MSI team is our student leadership team, one of our student leadership teams. This last year, they were involved in celebrating and promoting diversity by leading the way with presentations for Black History Month, not just at the school, but they ventured out into Eastview Elementary School and shared some things over there. They were also involved in reading little featurettes on the announcements to highlight influential historical figures that are noteworthy. Was that it? What else?
Wanted to quickly highlight our Academic Challenge team. Our Academic Challenge team attended the winter tournament at the Mid-Ohio Educational Service Center and took home first place. So there is a team picture of our Academic Challenge team champions. I also then wanted to highlight some of the arts, so you can kind of read. And again, I kind of took their information right from Mr. Green, right from our band directors, Ms. Carlson and Ms. Fanning. You'll see here in a second. Just some of their amazing accomplishments at the Ohio Music Educational Association large group district competition. Our choir achieved a superior rating, and then our women's chorus also performed wonderfully too. So we are very proud of them. Also, kind of going next, talk about symphonic band and then a little bit of Artapalooza. So the symphonic band competed at the OMEA large group district competition as well, and they brought home an excellent rating for their performance. On the right, Mr. Godsell led a group of students to participate in Artapalooza, and you can see we had many winners at Artapalooza. And again, this was a area-wide art competition, so a lot of those students did an amazing job. Some of them have since graduated, obviously, but very proud of them in the work they did. One thing I always try to give you an update on is how we recognized our honor students. So during the fall, during the winter, and during the spring, we always provide breakfast for those students who achieved all A's, maybe all A's and B's, or those who are scholar athletes. So you can kind of see how many students were recognized, and just so you know, that picture is just one class of kids. So that was like, looks like the junior class from last year. We try to find an area, we try to smush them all together, but it's very difficult to get them all in the picture. As you can see, there are less scholar athletes in the winter, but that is because there are less sports in the winter. So that's kind of why that falls that way. But again, very proud of them, and even though this is a very small gesture, always want to show them appreciation for the hard work they're putting in and make sure they're noticed and they know we're proud of them. Our alternative program was very successful last year. Again, we had 39 high school students and 19 middle school students that at one point throughout the year were in the alternative program. Of those students, 17 of them had enough to re-enter the building, and what I mean by enough is they obtained enough credits to recover and had a successful experience to come back into the building. 6 students from last year are returning, and we actually graduated 14 kids last year from the alternative program, which is an awesome accomplishment. All right, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Rickert. He'll talk a little bit about our athletic programs.
Okay, last year, when you see up there the OCC championships, we had an OCC championship once again in girls soccer, but also in softball. And it's the first time in like 8 years we've actually had 2 conference champions in the same year. So it was the first time, I think, in 10 years that softball won a OCC championship. It just goes to show how difficult it is to do that here in the OCC. But you go to the next one there. Our academic team award, this was something that was really pretty cool. Our softball program was recognized by the Ohio High School Softball Coaches Association for having the highest GPA of any Division II team in the state of Ohio. So that was quite an accomplishment for our girls last season. State wrestling, junior Michael Thomas earned a trip to the state wrestling tournament for the first time. And senior Hunter Hutchison placed 5th in the Division II 109-pound weight class at the state tournament. Hunter finished his high school career as a 3-time state qualifier and a 2-time state placer. And Hunter became only, of course, the 3rd multi-state placer for Madison in school history, so pretty tremendous honor there. Just some of our all-state athletes, Jaden Jeffries in boys basketball was a 2nd-team All-Ohio selection, Division I, 1,000-point scorer. I think he ranked 7th career in scoring. He was also the first draft pick of the All-Star Classic and was named the MVP at that Classic last year. He is going on to play his career basketball at Tri-C right now. Olivia Schultz was a 2nd-team All-Ohioan, and she is now playing at Ohio Dominican. Ryan Lungsford was an honorable mention All-Ohio selection in baseball, so great accomplishments for those athletes. Just again, some additional conference champions. Hunter Hutchison, a champion in wrestling. Dominic Weitzel, also a champion. Mila Davis in the long jump, and Nevaeh Lewis in the 100-meter dash. This year, we started the Madison Athletic Hall of Fame, and it really couldn't have gone any better. It was a lot of work. Our committee spent a lot of hours on it. I know Mr. Conway behind me worked diligently on this, but it all came together, and I thought it was fantastic. We had real close to 300 people who attended that night, and we had 9 individuals and 1 team that was honored. And all their presenters, of course, were able to speak on their behalf. So it's something that we, probably a long time coming. We were really excited about it. Next year, we plan, of course, to do it again with a chance for 7 people to be inducted in the Hall of Fame. Okay, I want to talk a little bit about what's going on. I know Ms. Cyrus talked a little bit about football. She also talked about volleyball. Just a couple of things because we're off to a really good start in some of our fall sports right now. Boys soccer, I'll start with. Boys soccer is 8-1-1 as of last night. They were ranked 13th in Division I, and they have had 7 shutouts, including 4 in a row until last night, which was a Madison record. Joey Walker leads the team in goals with 14, followed by Randy Jamison with 7. And Will Jamison has just been tremendous in the goal box and responsible for those 7 shutouts. So big game next week against Lexington. Boys varsity golf, also just having a phenomenal year, and really a lot of young kids on that team. We only have one senior, and that's Josh Atwell. But they have placed third 4 times in some of their tournaments this year, and placed second at the Ontario Invite with a score of 304, which is really, really good. And what was really great was we had our outing last week, and they won our invitational, which was the first time we won our own invitational in school history. So 16 teams in that, and a lot of Division I schools. We just played fantastic golf. So our top 5 golfers right now are Josh Atwell, Nick McGlott, Josh McGlott, Liam Stone, and Landon Goad. And they go tomorrow in the OCC. There's 3 rounds of the OCC. We are currently 4th, but real close to 3rd and actually 2nd. So we compete well tomorrow. We have a chance to actually move all the way up to 2nd place. So they've done a great job with that. Little cross-country information. The high school cross-country team has finished in the top 5 as a team in 3 meets this season, including a 3rd place finish at our own invitational. 2 of our female runners, Kaylee Cyrus and Sarah Smith, have added their names to our school's top 31 performance list. The high school boys cross-country team has finished in the top 5 as a team in 2 meets this season, including a 3rd place finish at our own meet in August. So doing really well there. Girls soccer. Girls soccer has a record now of 7-2-2. They are 4-0 in the OCC. They tied Division I team in Walsh Jesuit, who was ranked 8th in the state Division I. They also tied Granville, who was ranked 6th in the state in Division II. And last night had a really big win, beating, which has become a real big rivalry. We beat Ontario last night 5-2. They were ranked 8th in the state in Division II. Nevaeh Lewis was phenomenal. She scored 4 goals out of the 5. Pretty impressive. She also got her 50th career goal, so something I wanted to say there. So quite a night for them. They're off to a really good start also. Last, we'll talk about tennis. Our tennis team just won again tonight on senior night, beat River Valley, so they are now 10-5 and 4-3 in the OCC. And our OCC tournament for tennis is next Friday. So off to a really good start there, the girls tennis team. And last thing I want to talk about, I got a letter from, or an email from an official. And I know the official really well, but sometimes you get an email from an official and you're like, oh man, what happened? This was really good news. It was a 7th grade student of ours, McKenna Berkshire. McKenna was playing volleyball against Mansfield Senior High, and one of the girls over there didn't have a uniform that was correct, so they were not going to let her play because she didn't have black shorts. And McKenna ran into the locker room, got a pair of black shorts that she had, asked the referee if she could use those, and the girl from senior high was able to compete that night. So it was really a great act of sportsmanship, and I came to the school and got McKenna out of class and gave her a little gift card and called her mom. I wanted her to be here tonight, but she actually had a game tonight, so they couldn't be here tonight. But you don't hear those things very often, so I wanted to share that with the board, okay? Thank you for your time.
I'll just quickly go through some things for this year, and Mr. D will probably take us home here. One thing I learned from Mr. Peterson very early in my administrative career is the most important thing you do is hire really good people. And I got to tell you, the hiring process, I'm sure for all principals over the last couple of years, has been extremely difficult. I want to tell you, I think we really did a great job of hiring some awesome people who care for Madison and for Madison kids. So you can just kind of go through this group and just kind of get to know their faces a little bit. And I'll just say I'm very proud of all of them, and I'm very excited to work with all of them for the future. So we had 9 new teachers in our building, and extremely excited to work with all of them. I just gave you a list of some things that we thought were our goals. I put team goals because I don't think they're my goals or Andrew's goals or Mr. Grove or Mr. Rickards' goals. I think it's all of ours. This is our team goals for this coming year. And really our focus is we want everyone to understand their importance, understand their role, and understand what Madison students deserve. And that's what we plan to give them. We want to be consistent, we want to set clear expectations, and we always want to follow school practices. I mean, and again, these are things that we think we need to do a better job of this year. Obviously, achievement is important, so our goal is to raise our performance indicator by 5 points. And lastly, what we would like to do is show Ram pride, which is very, very important to all of us, in all things. Our goal is to give Madison students the most complete high school experience, and I think all of those things there, everything from academics, programs, athletics, arts, clubs, all of those things make up the high school experience. I'm going to let Mr. D kind of finish this off as he talks about some of the things he's been working on this year.
Okay. All right, I'll be talking about PBIS and some school culture related items. So PBIS includes school-wide behavior expectations and rules, staff and student recognition systems, student accountability, data analysis, and even PD opportunities. I included our matrix, which you can refer to in the slides, as well as our classroom rules, which are something that we have consistently posted throughout the building. Throughout the year, we're already setting in motion ways to recognize students that are doing the right thing and certainly going above and beyond the basic expectations, and that's embedded into daily classroom systems, quarterly systems, and end-of-the-year systems to recognize students that are doing the right thing. Okay, so this year, one thing that we've stepped up is partnering with businesses and even faith-based organizations to support our incentive programs. So there's just a few shout-outs that I've included in the slides. There's more that have come in since we put our slides together, but it's really cool to have so many community partners wanting to support our students. Data. All right, so one thing that we do at the high school, every staff meeting, we show the scoreboard, so to speak. I think that's a great analogy or comparison to look at an athletics competition. You always want to know what's on the scoreboard. In my own athletics experience, I was always a runner, so I always think of like mile splits or quarter mile splits if you're running track. I have overlaid discipline data from the 21-22 school year, the 22-23 school year, and we're just getting started, so we don't have much to report on for this year. But the good news is we are trending in the right direction. Almost every month, our numbers in terms of office discipline referrals were noticeably below the previous year, and the goal for this year is to keep trending down for the office discipline referrals. There's some more data. We'll keep going. There's also demographic breakdowns in terms of the data analysis that you can refer to as well. And we're also collecting regular qualitative data in terms of student feedback to see what they want in terms of recognition, that kind of thing, and how well are they understanding school-wide expectations. All right. That's about it. There's some other examples of professional development opportunities that I included in there if you want to refer to that. Keep going. And questions.
All right, I don't know how we did on time, but we tried hard to be quick. So appreciate your time, and thank you. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was thorough, but quick. We need a motion to accept donations from 3 different entities here.
So moved.
Second,
I'll second.
discussion. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Amy Walker?
4.
Mrs. Melissa Walker, I'm
4.
sorry.
You're fine.
Miss Amy Walker?
4.
Mr. Mosier? 4. Mrs. Cotterman?
4.
Mr. Wigton?
4.
Apologize for that football.
You're fine.
It's a walker. We're okay.
Okay.
Next is our treasurer's report. I need a motion to accept.
So moved.
Second?
I'll second.
All right.
Discussion.
Okay. First thing we'll go through is the revenues. August revenues exceeded expenditures, but that's expected when you get your, half of your annual revenue comes twice a year, and August just happens to be one of the months that it comes. So that's why it was revenues exceeded expenditures. There were some variations, and most of those were due to timing. Timing of some of the revenues we got, timing of things like real estate taxes. All of us pay real estate taxes, so we know you can pay them in February and you can pay them in July. Well, more people chose to pay the full amount in February, so therefore February's were a little bit higher, August were a little bit lower. February's a different fiscal year than August, so that was that variation for those revenues. Expenditures, the changes there, obviously the salaries and benefits are just because things go, your negotiated agreement, you go up. But the others were timing of things like reimbursements. For example, E-rate, which is from the FCC, and it provides discounts for communications and internet. Last year we got it in August. This year we haven't received it yet. Mr. McVicker is working very diligently. It's held up somewhere at the state level on somebody's desk, and I've been in meetings with him and even NCOCC trying to, move it along. So those are the only variances there, nothing crazy or out of the ordinary. And the other pages I honestly just didn't change them because they're still relevant and still necessary for what we have going on. The next thing I'd like to talk about is approval of permanent appropriations. It's just a fancy word for the budgets. The budgets are set for the year, but what I really want to say is every single administrator you see sitting out there, myself and Mr. Peterson, that's a collaborative thing. It's not me just sitting in my office saying, here's what you get, here's what you get. Mr. Peterson and I sit down prior to me giving the total amounts to all the administrators out here. And then they choose how it should be budgeted, where it should go. And then I compile it in that, it's a big fancy spreadsheet that you guys see, and I send it to the county auditor. So that's what that is. And the last thing are student activity budgets. That's just the clubs that he was referring to, Mr. Conway is referring to. They have to submit, here's how much I'm going to expect to get in, here's how much I'm going to expect to spend. And obviously there's things that happen throughout the year, so when you have budget appropriation revisions, that's because something came up unexpected, and I just need to have you vote on it so I can send that to the county auditor. That is the treasurer's report. Do you have any questions before we move on?
Roll call.
Mrs. Melissa Walker?
4.
Miss Amy Walker?
4.
Mr. Mosier?
4.
Mrs. Cotterman?
4.
Mr. Wigton?
4. Next item, J, I need a motion to accept.
I'll move.
Second.
I'll second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Miss Amy Walker?
4.
Mrs. Cotterman?
4.
Mrs. Melissa Walker?
4.
Mr. Mosier?
4.
Mr. Wigton?
4. Next is item K, superintendent's business. I need a motion to accept.
So moved.
A second.
I'll second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Mrs. Melissa Walker?
4.
Miss Amy Walker?
4.
Mr. Mosier?
4.
Mrs. Cotterman?
4.
Mr. Wigton?
4. That takes us to visitors' comments. Okay. I see no one rushing to the microphone. Our next item is President's Business. We have a regular board meeting on October 18th, and a review and update of the December Board of Education meeting date. We are changing something there?
The third Wednesday in December is our first day of winter break, the 20th, so I would recommend meeting on the second Wednesday in December, which would be the 13th.
So December 13th?
It's fine with me.
I won't be here.
Hey,
Already, I won't be here. Already approved vacation. I'm on vacation.
do we need to do something?
No, he did it
Okay.
when we voted. Would you be here if we moved it to the Tuesday before the Wednesday?
We would probably have to check our athletic calendar. Could potentially have an athletic event that night, but
If we do, we could always,
No, I leave December 12th.
what?
I leave December 12th.
Okay. What
Or let me rephrase.
if we did it the 19th? That's what I'm saying. The Tuesday before our normal meeting date
Oh, I'll be back. Yes.
with the night, and then if it's a conflict here with the building, we could meet at the high school library.
right?
Okay, then let's do December 19th. Okay. At this time, I need a motion to go into executive session.
I'll move.
Second,
I'll second.
discussion.
Yeah. The reason, I'd like to know why this wasn't provided in advance until tonight for the executive session. Somebody could tell me that later.
I'll answer it now. I believe it was just left off the agenda. The request was by me a month ago in an email, actually about 2 weeks ago in an email. After our special board meeting, the request was made.
Okay.
So I think it was left off. Probably an oversight.
Hopefully I get it corrected.
Ready for roll call?
Okay, roll call.
Miss Amy Walker,
Four.
Mrs. Melissa Walker,
Four.
Mr. Mosier,
Against.
Mrs. Cotterman,
Four.
Mr. Wickton.
4. Okay, there will be nothing voted on when we return, and we will meet upstairs.
Do you see what I wrote down?
Thank you for coming.